So I don't even remember when I started running. It's been like an on and off journey, but recently I've been pretty consistent, and I wanted to talk about what running taught me about life. There's seven sort of things that I want to talk about. I have them listed here, but it's sort of like a no script kind of thing. So just sit back, relax, enjoy, grab a drink, grab a snack. Let's go ahead and talk about what running has taught me about life. So the way this sort of thing came together was I was on a rabbit hole in ChatGPT, and it talked about breathing, and I was like, wait, this sort of applies to running. But then I was also like, wait, this also applies in life. So I was like, let's make a YouTube video about it. And that's how this video came to be, essentially. It's great because I was kind of running out of ideas, and I didn't want to just like do some random stuff in my room. So it's nice to have something to talk about. It's nice to have something that'll provide you with a little bit of value. So the number one thing is, it's not the number one most important, but like the first on the list, your breath controls your mind. So when you're breathing, when you start to run, you learn different techniques, and one of those is breathing. And breathing is very, very helpful. It's very crucial because it helps you with your rhythm. If you don't have your breathing in check, if you forget, you start to lose your rhythm. Maybe you'll start to panic, you'll start to overthink. So breathing, especially being conscious of your breath and how you're taking in air, is very, very important. And this applies in life as well, right? If you are in a situation where there's a problem, or if you have to public speak, if you have to tell a friend something that's very deep, if they're doing something wrong and you want to correct them, sometimes you kind of like overthink. So what do? You take a deep breath, right? But it doesn't just stop there. It starts there, actually. When you take that deep breath and then you start being in control of your breath, that's when it starts to help you. So breathe first, your mind will follow. Hopefully that makes sense. But the second thing that I want to talk about is that small adjustments change everything. And this is really true with running. If I'm running at a certain pace and I don't feel up to it, I'll just slow down a tiny bit and I'll feel a whole lot better. And that's going to be a lot better for me in my run. And it's going to help me progress in the future as well. Another thing is I've had a bit of knee pain, like the joint, for a bit on my left knee. And what solved it was a little tiny tweak, literally just like adjusting my running form, like having my foot tilted out a little bit to like this much in, and that has improved my knee. I no longer get any sort of pain. So like even just like a tiny adjustment to your form, your posture, again, your breathing, relaxing your shoulders, stuff like that, it'll make running feel a lot easier, a lot more enjoyable. And this applies in life because the tiny changes that you make in life will affect you throughout your whole journey. So like your whole run, right? Basically your life. If you change one tiny thing and do it consistently over a long period of time, the results will show up, whether if it's good or bad. So a tiny fix will change your run. It can fix an entire run, but also like a tiny change toward the negative side can ruin a run. Maybe have like a larger risk of injury. So do keep that in mind. The tiny adjustments make everything. It's the small things that you do consistently over a long period of time. The third, start slow, finish strong. I used to just like get into my running workout, and I'm like, yeah, let's get into it. Let's start running at the pace that I want to run, right? But that never helped. It actually didn't. It was the opposite. It didn't really help that much, and it sometimes made it worse, right? So easing up to that pace helped me a lot. So running my first mile or two at a slower pace and then slowly start building up the speed helps me more. It gets me more energetic, more hyper, if you will. And it's the same thing with life, right? You don't want to just like full on hit the ground running most of the time. You just have to start slow, build slow, and just like the first thing, or the second thing, sorry, consistency. You need to have to be consistent. So it doesn't make sense if you're like starting really fast or at the pace that you want to in the beginning, but you start to slow down to a walking pace, maybe even a slow walking pace, just because you got way too ahead of yourself and now you're out of energy, right? So you want to build your way up to that, and everything will be fine. You just have to trust the process, essentially. Fourth thing, the hardest part is showing up. I mean, starting is always the hardest part, is it not? And starting a run can be very difficult at times. There are days where you wake up and you're like, oh, I don't want to go on this run. Or if you're running towards the end of the day, maybe towards sunset, just because the midday is like the sun is intense, right? And you don't have access to a treadmill. There's different variables to everything, but maybe it's during the middle of the day and you feel all lethargic and you don't want to move. Same sort of feeling, right? So during those days, what are you going to do? You have to show up, right? If you don't, you kind of build this sort of thing in your head where it's like, oh, it's okay to miss a workout once in a while, right? And then it starts becoming more frequent. So you have to show up even though you don't feel like it. And that's how it is in life, right? There are times where you don't feel like doing something, especially if you're an introvert like me. You start to make plans like in advance when you feel extroverted, and then when that day comes, you're like super introverted and you want to stay inside. But you kind of have to push past those feelings and just do it, because most of the times when you do that thing, you're not going to regret it. So hardest part is showing up. You just have to start, and then everything will be all right from there. Starting is the hardest part. Like, I don't know how else to explain it. It's pretty self-explanatory. 5, listen to your body. So I've done resistance training before, I've worked out before. So this concept is not necessarily like a new thing to me, but it is sort of an adjustment still, because you have to listen to your body in sort of like a different way. I don't know how to explain that, to be honest, but you know, if your body is a little sore that day, maybe just take it easy, go for a recovery walk. Don't push yourself, because you don't want to injure yourself. If you push yourself too much, too hard, you will injure yourself, and then that'll set you back more in comparison to if you just take a rest day and let yourself recover from that. Same thing with life, right? If you have maybe emotional pain, if you're going through a burnout, stress, exhaustion, if like before it gets up to that point, you kind of want to feel it out and see what you can do to recover, to rest, to be able to get you prepared for what's to come, if that makes sense. So don't get me wrong, right? There's discomfort and there's danger. Sometimes you have to push through discomfort, but don't push yourself past the danger or through danger, because that'll get you injured. That'll get you into a whole lot more trouble in comparison if you to just take a step back for a little bit, right? So I hope that makes sense. Like, I feel like as time goes on, my brain starts to like get a little bit more jumbled. But number 6, the mind quits before the body. It's mind over matter, right? If you're running and you're like, oh man, I'm tired. but like every ounce of you wants to stop, but you keep going. You sort of build that like callus, and then the will to keep going is like stronger. It's like resistance training, right? It feels very hard in the beginning, but you push through that and you improve each time, every single day. And over time, it still feels hard, right? But you're so much more capable now than you were back then. And that's how it is with running. It still feels hard, but now you're able to go 10, 15, 20, 25 miles on a single run and feel really good. Whereas before, you could only do a mile. You could only do a half mile. So the mind quits before the body. What I'm trying to say is that sometimes, yes, there is danger, but like way before that, your mind tells you to stop. And this applies in life too, right? Most limits are mental. So that's not just with physical, but like with your relationships. Maybe you're a personal problem too, like in your head, self-doubt. Maybe you don't think that you're going to be able to get that job. Maybe you don't think that you're going to be able to get that person even. But it's like, if you don't even try, then how will you ever know? So that's what I have for point number 6. Point number 7, you don't have to compete to improve. This one is great because you can just run to run. You don't have to participate in a marathon, in a 10K, in a 5K. You can just run. And I know runs suck because I really don't like running. But I do it because of all the benefits that you get, right? Like if you've listened to the whole list that I've given, like this whole video is talking about life lessons that I've learned from running. I'm not gonna lie, I feel like running has grown on me. It feels like if I don't run, a part of me is missing. Anyways, yeah, you don't have to compete into any sort of like race to improve. You just run. Sometimes the best times, the best performances are when you're alone, when there's no competition, no audience, no pressure. It's just you versus you. So this is the same way in life. Don't get me wrong, that like being with other people and having that like good, healthy competition is very good as well. But you gotta balance it out, right? Sometimes I personally improve better when I'm by myself. But of course you can't have one without the other. You're going to be missing things if you only focus on being with other people. You're going to be missing things if you only focus on yourself. So it's again a balance. It's the best to try to get a mix of both. And basically what I'm trying to say is running for this point it taught me that the only person that I have to beat is who I was yesterday. So each day I try to become a better person, even just like 1% better. I think you've heard that before. I've definitely like heard it a lot of times. You just have to become 1% better, and it'll compound so much over time. But that's all I have for you today. That's what running has taught me about life. If you have a point or points that you would like to bring up, I would love to hear them in the comments section about how running has taught you about life, or anything has taught you about life. I would love to talk about other topics on this like sort of subject. Anyways, thanks for listening. I'll see you tomorrow.